a script. And then we can use that.
That's awesome.
If you're okay with it.
I'm okay with it, yeah. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
You've got more experience than I have.
That's a great idea, because you can go through it, you can edit and change it however you want, but it's just automatically.
And I can summarize it to condense it.
For the official.
Hey Steve, how you doing? Hi Steve. I'm good. It's a good idea.
What's that?
Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, he's on. How you doing tonight?
Doing good.
Good. Good.
And it's 6 o'clock. Call the meeting to order. I will mention for anyone who wishes to make public comments, there is a sign-in sheet over there on the table. Next item is Gerald is not able to be here this evening. I'm sure he's tied up in Brewer with a snowstorm. So Mike, if you would come up for the evening. And then I would like to acknowledge our new member, Stephen Dumont. Pronounced it correctly, didn't I?
With the on both ends.
Yep. David Cardell resigned his position. He basically has said it's time. He's been doing it for enough years. So that happened after our last meeting. And the select board, when they accepted his resignation, nominated Stephen to be the new member. So, congratulations. I'm not sure in the future if you'll agree with that. Congratulations. Okay, that's that.
You should vote for me, you're voting member.
I have to have a vote, I think you can, according to the bylaws, you can just.
Oh, okay, Robert's rules you normally do, but I don't know your bylaws.
Yeah, basically the chairman just gets to
He says how we vote, alright, cool.
the meeting.
I'll vote it.
Okay, I'm going to change the order of one thing here. This should have been done last month. All I can tell you is that I overlooked it, and that's selection of officers for the 2026 year. So, we're looking for a nomination for chairman.
I nominate Bruce Kelly. I second it.
There's no discussion. All those in favor? Okay, and I'm going to abstain. Next, we need a nomination for vice chairman.
Okay, first, David, do we need to say the number out loud for it to, like, say that was 4-0, one abstaining? Because it won't translate it right. So you can see.
All those in favor, I'm just going to write the names.
Names, okay. Thank you.
David has expressed his interest in being vice chairman and in taking over the job of writing notes, which is what David Cogdell used to do, and minutes. And for that reason, I'm going to nominate David Noto to be the vice chairman.
Second motion.
Any other nominations or any comments? In that case, all in favor? Done. The next item of business is approval of the minutes for last month. The last ones that David Cardell wrote.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of January 28th as written.
Second.
Unless someone has an issue with anything being incorrect. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Okay, we're getting down through it. Has anyone signed for public comments?
Did we get it? No. Do you
Nothing?
want paper?
Okay. We have no guests, so we're going to go into old business, and we are looking at CEO report first. So I'm turning it over to you for this part.
Sure, yeah, I'm almost done with shoreline zoning ordinance, which is awesome. So what I'll do is, depending on if we have applications next month, I will say we don't. I will bring it in and have you guys look it over. And I've kind of highlighted parts that, just to bring your attention to them. We're gonna have to discuss piers, wharfs, and docks a little bit, but I'll bring that in next month or so, make one applications, and we'll get that at least done and set to the side, and bring it to the select board and see how they want to proceed, have a special meeting or whatnot. Not to panic anybody, but the state of Maine has come down this year. Do you remember with LD 2003, I was waiting for some court actions and rulemaking clarifications from the state? Well, they have come down the pipeline. There's actually quite a few of them that have come down the pipeline. And so I have fact sheets for all of them that I got from Southern Maine Planning and Development Commission, but for the sake of tonight, I will email them to you guys. Don't get overwhelmed, don't panic. Just read it so you kind of have a general idea of what I'm talking about when we get to it. And one law, which is kind of interesting, is we have to allow chickens anywhere we allow anybody, like a residence. You also have to allow residential housing in commercial zones. That's not a huge deal for Clifton because all of your zones, they overlay. Like you have a growth area, but it's also residential. So I don't think that will be a big deal. Yeah, so there's some of them are good, some of them are very intense, so we will deal with that very soon. Yeah. Okay, well then, yeah, the only thing is next.
There's one other item which I meant to take up first, and so I'm going to do it right now. In order to keep track of everything, what PB number are you for? Vernon 4.
I'm not registered myself,
I think it's 3? No.
No, 3 is what David Cogdell.
Oh, that's why I see 3 all the time.
but. Did they give him a new number?
Yes, we created a new number, but I don't remember if you're 7 or 8.
I think I'm 7. Or you're 8.
I think I'm in.
Okay.
I'm 7 then.
Oh, I don't have it on this table.
I'm 2.
I think I'm in.
8. I'm 1. And
Gerald.
whoever becomes the chairman in the future will inherit 1.
But what's Gerald?
He doesn't have a number. He's got it's his own regular Gmail account.
Yeah, he's either 5.
But he uses his personal phone.
He uses his own Gmail account, I think.
Did we lose a couple of times at one point in time?
Yeah, we lost 6.
Yeah. So we're
That's
missing 5. We're
because
missing
whoever
5.
had 6 changed the password, and they made themselves the recovery. Google says, forget it.
All right.
You are
2.
2. Yeah, that tells me Gerald's 5. I'm pretty sure. And you're 2. I'm trying to keep track of them all. I don't mind if you change your password, but do not change the recovery password. That reverts to the chairman, so if there's a problem with getting the account reset,
It's also a good idea to give maybe Debbie the password if you change it. Just
yeah.
do that, just in case we can't get hold of you or having a digital issue.
I think Eric changed my password because the one I had was ridiculous. So I assumed that he took care of the recovery. I didn't do anything with it.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as the recovery password is left, I think there are, at least any of them that I've created, I've made it, Eric Johns had created a PB number 09 as sort of a recovery password. And that means that the chairman can get in and initiate a recovery, which allows you to change the existing password so you can get back into the account if somebody forgets the password or whatever. I mean, these security things are becoming a real pain. So we'll try to clean anything up and make a complete list of that. And that's why I was asking, who is what number, so I know who I'm contacting. Okay, back to our okay, you're continuing.
Okay, so I know that a couple months ago, there's like a new business in town, which I think is awesome. It's East Coast Italian Diagnostics over on Airline Road. And there were a couple planning board members who asked if they had been approved yet, so I have been working with the homeowners trying to get that established. This is the preliminary meeting where the planning board goes through Article 12, so Bruce did print that off for you. And I guess just real quick for the new members, so the way this works is any new business comes to the town, doesn't matter if it's small, tiny home occupation level 1, or if it's a tier 3 high impact, I go down this list of questions with them and determine who is the approving authority. I just had one that came in it was a home occupation, she's making like candles at home and sells them online. It was very clearly that she was home occupation level 1, which doesn't require a permit, but I went down on this, wrote the answers, put my determination, filed it. So when it gets higher than that though, then I bring it to the planning board and we go through it. So I have it on the computer in the TV here. Bruce also printed it. So what we'll do is we'll go down factor 1 to 11 and you score them. So if you look at factor 1, it says size of principal structure, 35,000 square feet or less. If that was the answer, the number would be 1. That is the score it gets. It's in the second box, it's a 2, 3, 4, 5. And at the very end, we add it all up, and then move on to another article. So, just so I know what we're all able to start here, and we'll kind of see how it goes. So, I am fairly confident that the applicant is here, and so what I'm thinking is we'll go down together, because I've already spoken with him. And I'll show you what I was thinking, and then you guys can ask him questions, me questions, however you want to do it after that. Okay. So I did confirm for factor 1 that the size of the principal structure is under 35,000 square feet. So
3,500.
3,500, yeah. Yeah, not really. Good point. That means it. But I did confirm that on the tax card, so that's a 1. the maximum height is 35 feet. I mean, yeah, it is. It used to be a gym in a house. So first it was Route 9 going. Then it was a home occupation, like a home gym in a house, and now it is, this business has moved in. So factor 2 is very clearly 1, you can find that in the tax card as well. Factor 3 is also 1 because it's under 3 acres. So that's, and it also is legally existing here, so the way these questions read, it reads like it's new development, but this is an existing property with existing structure, so it kind of changes it a little bit. Factor 4, traffic generated by this project. No more than 10 more passenger vehicle trips per day involve the land use activity. Yeah, I spoke with him, and I'm confident that would also be the one. He's got, and plus himself, one other employee, so just to be safe, he will say 3 or less, so factor 5 should be the 1. Factor 6, no business-related noise level over 85 dBA generated continuously for more than 1 minute at any time outside of building. I was there, everything was done inside, and it was definitely soundproof from what I could gather. I mean, it is winter, so. Do you intend to do any work outside? Or
No, it's a dirt driveway. I'd rather work inside.
Inside, okay. So that one, yeah, I'm not worried about it. I mean, the noise is like vacuums and stuff, so it's not too intense. Factor 7, proposed or needed lighting will not impact light level adjacent to residential properties. That is true in this case. No pleasant odors will be generated that are detectable to adjacent properties. No fly or ash or particle generated. I rated that one a 1 because it's all inside. Factor 9 is no NDEP stormwater permit is required. So that one I have on my list. True, but confirmed because I'm actually not sure about that. And then factor 10. No or very small amounts of hazardous waste are generated. So regardless if we're in category 1 or 2 here, that's going to be scored a 1. This one, I looked up your definition of hazardous waste. You don't define it in your ordinance. So I'm going to leave that one to you. I think it depends on how water and runoff and stuff is handled, but I could easily see that one still being a 1 if handled properly. That's just my opinion. Factor 11, 1. So for when I scored this, it very clearly got scored 1 for everything except for number 10. It's a question. Again, I think it depends on how things are handled. And correct me if I'm wrong, Zach, but from what I remember when I was there, let's say he's detailing the car, spraying it down. It's a big cement floor, so he took a shot back and he vacuumed up all the water, put it in these big gallon drums, and then he disposed of it, which the details of that, you guys can work out, but is there a drain in the garage?
There is, but I wouldn't flush anything down that drain.
Okay, so there is a drain, but so now we scored this, guys, and we can go back to it. I just want the new members to understand what you do here is you take this and you add it up, and it says that if you have 1 or less, you're tier 1, 2 or less, you're categorized tier 2. So on factor 10, if you guys score him, let's say a 2 here, that will automatically throw this whole project into tier 2, regardless of the fact that everything else was scored 1. So once we determine that tier, you go to Article 13, which is a different article of the ordinance. Now I printed this out for you because I've already done the work for it. He will be it's a service business because they give you a description of what it is underneath your definition, and then your zone on the top of the page, and it kind of shows you who the approving authority is. So if this is not categorized as a home occupation, it automatically will be planning board approval. When I did it quickly, because he does live there, I think that's important to know, but when I did it quickly, because of factor 9, if you made me make the determination at this moment, I would say tier 2, table 3A service tier 2, light impact. But I could be convinced if the applicant, was able to show how the water is something being handled, I could be convinced that, to go another way for it. Before we stop there, because I'm going to let you guys go all the way back to Article 12. So Steve and Mike, so Article 12, just for your fact, then you go to Article 13. Once that determination is made, you have to go to Article 6. And I did not print that for you, and I'll put it on the page when we get there. But this is where you see a chart like this. Depending upon how you categorize him, tells you what is required for the application. And so we'll get that after you guys speak tonight. But that is the process, preliminary process for a business coming in. Alright, so I'm going to throw it now to you guys. We can go back to the scoring, we can talk to the applicant, you guys can talk amongst yourselves, how you guys can do this from here.
Okay, the only questions that I can see have to do with factor number 10 and how chemicals are being disposed of.
Sure. Yeah, I don't use anything that's toxic, and I don't send anything down the drain. I'm well aware that, some chemicals can harden, my environment around me and the people that are here and stuff. So I use anything that's non-toxic, non-acidic. I use a couple of degreasers, but none of that goes down the drain, and all that gets vacuumed up. And like she said, we put it into containers, and it gets shipped out to Bangor. Yeah.
To where
To
again?
Bangor.
Okay.
So how's the drain set up, like in your garage?
So the drain's plugged. I actually have a vacuum that, takes all the water runoff. It's all sloped concrete floor.
Okay.
And the actual, so if I send anything down that drain, it will plug and it'll cost me a lot of money. It won't be a pretty thing. So there's nothing that's going down that drain.
That is actually was my biggest concern, for the simple reason that, you don't want to know what it will cost if the DEP has to come in.
Sure.
Start digging up ground because you're contaminating groundwater.
Sure.
So based off that answer, does that change your scoring on factor 9? Or does that?
On 9?
Yeah, so 9 is soil and water contamination potential. None are very small amounts of hazardous waste. You see what I mean? We either need to score this a 1 or a 3. And
I think we just.
You're looking at number 10.
number 10, I'm sorry, yes, number 10. You're right.
Have you seen the setup personally?
I have been in there, yes. So this is why I'm concerned, not about what he's saying, but I'm concerned about the application process, right? So depending on how you're going to score this, it's either going to put him as light impact tier 2 or low impact tier 3. I've been going through your application process. It is intense, and you guys do have the authority to say we actually don't require this section. But just from me being there, if we were to say this was to get approved, right? We'd have a site plan. You would obviously put as a condition that he has to follow all state standards and get the state permitting that's required. I have other businesses that get rid of hazardous waste on site, and I just see the agreement where they're bringing it. They show me the contract or their agreement with it. So I would be satisfied with that, but no matter where we score him, this will be like a one and done permit. He doesn't have to come back annually for it, which is also important. But I would lean towards light impact, honestly, tier 2 light impact. But this is not my
only concern, kind of like what Bruce said, is, if you're doing undercoating, you're popping the hood, you're steaming engine compartments and whatnot, all that's coming down. And especially if you're doing undercoating, you're using high pressure, high temperature water. you're spraying a whole undercarriage, like that's getting everywhere.
Sure.
So by answering the question about the drain, how do you kind of avoid the water going down that drain was kind of my biggest question, I guess, with that. But I'd be curious to have someone actually see the setup.
Come on down.
To make sure that
Come down and look.
stuff's not happening.
Sure.
So,
Anytime.
hear me out on this. Here's my recommendation after hearing that. I'm gonna show you guys Article 6, and I want us to go through it and see what you guys need to see from him. Because I am gonna recommend that we avoid quite a bit of this. You'll see why in a minute. And then he can get that together for you. And either, like he said, you guys need to make it, you guys just stop in and quickly look at the setup. Or you can tell him now what you want to see. You can take pictures and stuff. This type of, I'm good with the ordinance. I don't know this type of business that well, so I don't know what to look out for, to be honest with you.
David here works in a shop, and as that, I would consider him on the board as a sort of resident expert in this area. And I would ask David to go take a look at it. And frankly, from what I'm hearing, if you take a look at factor number 10, either tier 1 or tier 2 get a rating of 1.
That's what I'm saying, yes.
So,
but the reason it will put it up is if you go to our table, this is like the fun listing thing, right? So I scored them all once. I believe that makes sense, assuming factor 10 is taken care of. But if you go to your Article 13, he is categorized as a service, right? In my opinion, let's pull it up. It's actually not taking my word for it.
well, first, on the worksheet,
Yeah.
I feel factor number 10, what we know right now, unless you come back with a different assessment, is a 1.
Correct. I agree with you. So we scored all ones, in my opinion.
All 1s, which makes it the, does anyone disagree? No?
I agree with it. And so technically that would make you tier 1, which you would normally say doesn't require a permit. But when you go to table 13, because of the description of the business, and it makes it a tier 2, light impact service businesses. You can't have this type of description of a business be a tier 1.
Yeah.
But we scored it to tier 1, and I agree with all the scoring based off these questions. I'm with you. So tier 1, light impact, because of Article 13, it bumps it to tier 2 light impact, because of this description. Are you looking at me too confused?
No.
No, it just,
listen.
yeah. It's funny, I make these decisions, and because it's so complicated, I have to go back and remind myself why I made the decisions, but I've gone over this a billion times now. We can go through Article 13 if you want, because you have to look at these charts up here, right? Like, it's definitely not a retail shopping store. That is very clear.
Yeah, table 13A, which I copied up.
Category what? 3?
I just have one more question before we move on. I noticed that you said you've done some paint as well. Do you have, what's your paint setup, I guess? Do you have ventilation?
So I don't typically paint the house. I think I've done it one time in 5 months since I've been at this property. It's not something that I want to do, nor do I really know how to paint very well. So
Okay.
yeah.
Some of the regulations with painting and ventilation.
Sure. If I did, I would have an outlet fan and I would have a booth all set up. I wouldn't do it in that shop.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, I'm looking at table 13A, and simply by the nature of the business, it's a service business. Don't have a problem with that. But I would say it automatically, unfortunately, moves it to tier 2.
Correct. Which that's okay. Tier 2 is a lot better than tier 3 in terms of what you require. I will say the paint thing though, I understand that he's not paying right now, But we actually have to consider it as advertised as such, like on the side on the website, I can't have a business that says they want to make cookies and pie, and well, I don't make cookies, but I'm advertising foods that might one day, you see what I mean? The painting for me doesn't change anything right now. It might change what you ask for your application, but, because like, on the business card, oh yeah, well, it says it, so I'm just saying we can't.
Can I interrupt on that?
Sure.
On my business card, it says paint correction and paint enhancement.
Yeah, and
It
so
doesn't say anything about painting.
right, is that what you meant though?
Yeah, I want clarification on that. I
Yes.
wasn't sure.
Well, I apologize. I know we have to go in and
You should ask like,
Sure.
Rob, this is your,
Sure.
I'm trying to.
just wanted a friendly correction.
What is paint correction?
Paint correction is buffing the car, correcting scratches. David Noto knows I did the paint correction on your boat. So, yeah. Just paint correction. An enhancement would be ceramic coatings.
So yeah, I think that's important. I probably should have said, correct me if I'm wrong. So what the business says, the details, cars, inside, outside, is a great job from what I can see. Also though, let's say your car gets in an accident, an insurance company might call in to do a diagnostics on that accident, maybe take images, look to see what's wrong. Do you do repairs there?
I do
Okay.
panel replacement. I don't do any welding. There's not going to be no fire, no nothing like that in the building. It's actually against my lease to weld in there, so I do have to follow my lease as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I noticed online too, it was brought up to me, sometimes you do, like, where do you do with scrap?
Scrap?
Yeah.
I mean, the scrap gets put neatly out back in a pile, and then it gets put inside my truck and taken to the scrap yard. If you look at the yard, you can tell how clean it is. There's no scrap in the yard.
So, right, based off of these conversations, your code enforcement officer, which we can definitely agree to disagree, thinks you should be here true, not here. And the application process, you'll see is very intense still, and you as a board have the authority to say we don't require this, but we would like to see this instead. So I will make a recommendation, we go through Article 6, and let's make an application requirements that make sense for what you want to see, and not just making new things up, because the ordinance says, like Article 6, Section 6.3.8.1, very clearly states that the planning board has the authority with sole discretion to waive any submission requirements deemed unnecessary logical. So, technically it does say the applicant must request the waiver in writing to the board. So as we talk here, I'm going to recommend that he follow the rules and make the request in writing, but if we could just help him by making an application process that makes sense, I will be so happy.
I do have just a couple of questions. Because you show on your website one picture of basically a salvage of a vehicle.
I'm sorry, what website is that? I have a website that has a beautiful red Mustang on there. I'm sorry. Maybe we're not looking at the same website. It's East-Coast Detailing.
Yeah.
Or are you talking about a Facebook page?
It's a Facebook, East Coast Facebook. You can come up here too, hold on.
I worked at Bernacchi Auto Body. That is actually at a different facility. I was employed for Tony Bernacchi for quite a while. That was a universe van that I actually had to repair the
Okay.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with
That was on your Facebook page.
I would share all kinds of stuff like that. Yeah, it shows my chill.
Because that, unfortunately, was kicked you into also having to answer questions for Article 14.
Sure, no, and doing that kind of work is very hazardous. It deals with AC components and all that stuff. I don't do that kind of work.
Okay. That was the question. Because that would have, again, required more questions be answered. Yeah, so if that work is not being done here, then that eliminates my concern on that.
Well, I will also say when I dug into the history of that property, Route 9 was towing and something salvage or something, so I think, I'm not saying, if it's not happening, that's great, but it might be set up for a little bit of that anyway. based on the, I didn't see the whole application, I just saw
I take it you have no plans to use that back area for junk cars, like?
No, I can't even park cars on the lawn, that's a part of my lease, like I have to line them up there and then put them on the side, you know, I can't, I'm not putting any cars out back, it's not gonna be a junkyard. I don't even have, Spencer Barrett has the back gated off, and that's out of my lease, that's not even my area, so.
Okay. That eliminates my concerns over that area.
it. We're gonna actually meet owner to say that he's aware of it. Because he said lease, you know.
I mean, I can give you a copy of my lease.
Yeah, but also to be honest with you, like I'm gonna make this as easy and smooth as possible for you. I just dawned on me looking at this. Okay, if you guys want to vote on how you score it, discuss it both, and we can move Article 6.
I would make a motion that we score him as a tier 2, which is required in Article 13. Even though under Article 12, we would only have a tier 1.
I second.
Any comments, discussion?
Tier 2 light impact?
Correct, yeah. Here's your light impact service business. Based on this.
Which is on,
Yes. Okay.
this is a relatively small business, so I do not see it being high impact at all. Okay, we have a vote on that motion. Do we have a second?
Okay, he said,
Yeah, second. Okay. Do we have a vote? All those in favor?
good.
We're at tier 2, which is as low as we can make it.
Okay, so.
The idea behind this is not to make it hard on businesses, is basically to protect the neighbors.
Sure, I agree.
Okay, so basically, this is apparently my copy, but if anyone really prefers a physical copy to look at, I'm gonna put this on here. But going on, sit. Okay, so. Okay, so tier 2 is right here. Right? So all of these things will be required. So I'm going to make those. Okay. Let's see, let's make this as good as we can here. The applicant shall submit 8 copies, this, that, blah, blah. That was pretty, these are pretty normal. He doesn't have to do 6.3.3, this is tier 2, which is awesome. General math, that's easy, and I can help him do those, so I'm not worried about that. So remember guys, I'm right here to tier 2 for my budget. Boundary survey, no, okay. Title block, so 6.3.4.1 says the record owner's name, address, project title, location, etc. I'm going to make a recommendation that we just get a copy of his lease, depending on what that says. We could go to the owner, but if his lease is clear, that should suffice in my opinion. But you're gonna have to vote on any recommendations, because I don't have the authority to do it on my own.
So I would make a motion that we accept the CEO's recommendation.
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Okay. All right, look at 6.3.4.6. And it says the location, dimensions, and size of all existing utilities, transmission and distribution, location for sewer, water mains, wells, on-site, subsurface wastewater disposal systems, underground tanks, or installations of gas, power, telephone lines, poles, outside lighting, or other utilities, including the size and elevation of buried or underground utilities on the property to be developed and on abutting streets or land that may serve the development and assessment of their adequacy and condition to meet the needs of the proposed use. Appropriate elevations may be necessary to determine the direction of flow. I don't see how to flow in here.
It's up to you. We've made it up to you. We just voted to do it up to you.
For all things, or just that one?
We vote for all things, the recommendations. Is that what you intend?
Well, we have to do a, and
One by one.
Yeah, because
I guess what I would suggest is that at least some of these should be included on his site plan.
okay, well, that makes sense to me. So there is a site plan one, so you guys are okay with combine
Yes.
this section, there's gonna be a couple other ones, and as long as it's on the site plan, like you don't care about elevations, I'm assuming you wanna know where the neighbor's septic is, so it says,
No.
just his, okay. I don't, yeah, alright,
Yeah, especially considering this is only a tier two.
He's not a big man.
that's what I know. Okay, I'm with you.
But at the same time, I feel there should be an official record of, where are the power poles? Where is, if there is outside fuel storage, where is it?
Okay.
Those type of things.
That is another section that I agree with you. You guys vote on it.
Okay, so I make a motion that we combine this with number one, and only for those items that the CEO finds pertinent.
Yeah, but I want to go down the rest of them.
Okay.
I would love to be queen of the castle, make these decisions, but this is the planning board authority, so you guys gotta, but in the lease, so let's quickly fix 6.3.4.11 easements. I think that's gonna be shown on the lease and the deed. So in my opinion, that will be combined with above. I don't even know if you need a vote with that one. To me, that's common sense, but I'm gonna combine them.
Yep, that's fine.
You guys agree? Everybody else? Mike, Steve, Dave? Okay. Let's see here. Alright, it says, Daniel, but no sale person who carried over. No, that one won't be relevant. Because it says it's applicable on 6.3.4.13. Top lines, number, no, that's for stuff. So in my opinion, 6.3.5.2 is for subdivision, it's not relevant here. It says lot lines and temporary markers, because I forgot you guys are looking at you guys, right? This one.
Well, actually, I was looking at first 6.3.4.13. And
That is applicable, so.
yeah, it's an if applicable, and I would say in this case, it's not applicable.
Right, so I figured out I didn't need to vote because he either has a consultant or he doesn't. If he doesn't, then I'm sorry, I guess I'm a little past there.
Well, I saw the yes over there, so I figured we should at least
Talk
address
about it. So title block, is actually the same thing because it's for a subdivision.
Yeah.
So I don't think that one applies, or 6.3.5.2. Obviously, property lines, the boundary lines would be on the site plan, but
those aren't required, the lot lines, et cetera, are
it's not.
not required.
You're right.
To, and the one above it, both the title block, I find unnecessary for something this long.
Okay.
I mean, you're looking at something fancy that is drawn up on site maps of subdivisions, often by surveyors.
So that, the top one on 6.3.5.4, that will be easy, that makes sense to me. 6.3.5.5 will also be in the lease and the deed, I'm not worried about that. Okay, so the next one, 6.3.5.6, this is proposed building location, the building exists, so that will be part of the site plan, and I'm gonna recommend that you not do it twice, obviously. Let's go down to this one. 6, so go to the next page if you have a hard copy, because everything else is no. Except for signs, but that makes sense. 6.3.5.10. Location of all parcels to be dedicated to public use, such as parks, open spaces. Condition of such dedication, the location of all natural features or site elements to be preserved. Not applicable in my opinion.
I agree. Quite frankly, in some cases, this ordinance went overboard when it came to the small businesses.
6.
And that's a change that we're hoping to change in the future, but at this point, we have to deal with it.
So 6.3.5.13, this is similar to the consult professional certification. He's not going to have that, so it won't be.
It says if applicable, so that would really only come into effect if he was hiring an outside professional.
Can we agree that if it says if applicable, we're not going to discuss it if it's not relevant?
Yeah.
Okay, you all agree?
Yeah, I mean, he's not building anything either,
Yeah.
it's just in some days, definitely not that.
Those aren't a big deal.
Yes.
Okay. Common sense, yeah. Alright, this page, we've got one yes. Alright, for 6.3.6.7, I'm going to recommend that you I'll help them if I can find the subsurface wastewater design that everyone has. I'll help them look online for it, because I don't think it's in the office. Does he do that? Okay. Hold on, guys. Okay, so yeah. So, yeah, you guys are going to talk about this one. I mean, I don't know. Because he's not having water running.
Well, it's not subsurface, is it? It's large.
Right.
As it says it is, it's.
Right, it's not going into the gray water system exactly.
Yeah, this was really meant to apply really more for subdivisions or for a large development.
Well, I mean, if he had that drain open, I would not.
Oh yeah,
That
that
would
would be a whole different.
ballgame, yeah, and what that going into a tank and then empty or something. So what I'm going to recommend for this one is you see the design on file, just so you know where it is. You guys are okay with that? Alright, let's go down to the next one. Okay, storage, the type, size, location of all machinery or equipment likely to generate noise, the amount of type of any raw, finished, or waste materials to be stored outside. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a reasonable thing for you guys to ask in this instance. 6.3.6.10. Maybe make it bigger.
Yeah.
Right down.
Does anyone find that applicable in this case?
I mean, I think it is, but it's up to you. So I would recommend on the site plan, you just say, like, this is the equipment we use for this. He doesn't, you just show it. And then show where it's going to store waste outside if he has to be. You know, like say the metal, like, oh, I store the metal too rarely, I'll just smell it. And once a month, put it out. I think that could all go on the site plan personally, but.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's one that works in an automotive place. Are you satisfied? I know that.
Okay, excellent. So there's more notes on this page. So,
He's on
Okay, so there's two yeses on this page, they are not applicable from, I just know they're not applicable. The blasting, explosive, aviation statement, no. And that is it, okay. So, is there, since, I'm just writing, put it in writing. We've all talked about it, you guys are agree with these steps. So I'll make sure it's in the application. Is there, you're gonna go and check it out? Is there anything else you guys could?
Do we need to vote to approve?
All
All
of
of
that.
Well, I think it makes sense.
Basically, I would make a motion that we approve all of the discussed items that we have decided are either not applicable for the CEO to address. Does that cover the problem?
That covers it properly. I would like you guys to vote on one more thing. I recommend that you allow him to keep operating while he gets this material together. 6 months goes by, we haven't got an application, and you'll cease and desist, but I find him to be cooperative and I don't have any issues with code enforcement with him.
Okay, well, I want to get a vote on the first thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mike's seconded it, so we just need it on.
All in favor?
All those in favor?
Sorry about that, okay. So, yeah.
And yes, although technically this almost falls under select board purview.
So the select board, I think, community works that I would agree, typically code enforcement does enforcement. Because it's planning board approval, which is the only reason I'm asking.
Right, the motion.
I make a motion to continue operation. I mean, it's years, we're talking most about it, and
Well, you should be able to come up with a permit application within 1 to 2 months.
I would agree because it's tier 2, and I will go through that. If you had tier 3, it would be totally different, but yes, I agree.
Yeah.
when I go to like June 1st.
Sure. June 1st, okay?
I'll second it.
So should be good.
Any other discussion or comments? Okay, all those in favor? Yeah.
Thank you. One more, I do. Okay.
And that's it.
Yeah. It is.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Jack,